Welcome, everybody. This is the Just Keep Reaching show, where we are helping you fulfill your full potential in life and in business by sharing stories, tips, and experiences from those who just keep reaching. My name is Joe Rosner, and each week I will bring you incredible guests in order to show you that we all come from different places, but to fulfill our full potential, we must just keep reaching. Welcome back, everybody, to another great episode of the Just Keep Reaching show. I have an incredible guest here, a life and career coach, founder of one of the greatest podcasts for the love of money, which is helping people smash through financial blocks. Extreme giver, extraordinary entrepreneur. I mean, this guy walks the walk. Chris Harder, welcome to the Just Keep Reaching show podcast. I'm glad to have you on, and thank you for taking your time today.
Joe, my man, my pleasure. I'm excited to see what we get into. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely. So let me just dive right into it. Where did you grow up?
So I am born and raised in the Midwest, kind of all over Wisconsin, moved around a few times growing up. And then my wife and I moved from Wisconsin to Minneapolis for a handful of years. And then we ended up out here in California, which was kind of a long-term plan as adults.
Okay, very cool. So a little bit all over the place. Midwest. I love the Midwest. I'm born and raised in Wisconsin as well, so I can appreciate that. Does that mean
What part?
So Green Bay. I'm about an hour north of small farm in Porterfield, Wisconsin.
Man, I know where that is. See, my parents are still in Door County in the summers and LA in the winters. So I was just back there. What was that? Last week? God, time goes quick. I was back there last week, and I still get back there a couple times a year, especially for Packer games. Like, I bleed green and gold. That's never going to change no matter where I live.
It's funny that you asked that you mentioned that, because I was just about to say, so are you a Packer fan? And I should probably assume, but
this drives my wife crazy. We plan all of our travel, even international travel, around when the Packer games are on so that I can see them. Like, it's that one, I know it's annoying. It's that one quirk I have that she just deals with.
That's incredible. I mean, one of the things is my wife is from Minnesota. So one of the
divided.
The thing is when we started, dating, I said, you're going to have to become a Packer fan at some point. It's just part of the thing.
And down the law.
But she's I think more diehard Packers than I even am. So that's a great thing. Now, so you grew up in Wisconsin. You live on the West Coast now. So Packers is obviously one of the things that is huge to you. What's one of your biggest accomplishments that comes to mind that you're most proud of?
Man, great question. This is going to be a cheesy answer, but how far I've grown. Like, listen, I was having this conversation the other day with someone. They asked if we're going to have kids. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have them, have them in the next couple of years. And I'm 40 right now, by the way. And they said, do you ever wonder, or do you ever wish that you started earlier? And I said to him, I said, no, I love who I am right now. I'm excited to raise kids with the perspective that I have right now. And I can't imagine the guy who I was, let's say 15 years ago, being responsible to shape human beings. You know what? So my proudest accomplishment so far is maybe one of the unexpected ones to people on the outside looking in, but to me, it's just how far I've actually grown.
No, I think I couldn't have had a better answer than that myself. That's pretty incredible to think of it in those terms, because I don't think a lot of people look at it from that space, given where you're at. So with where you are, who is somebody that you can kind of maybe give credit to or be grateful for, that has made a huge impact in your life?
You know what's funny? When people answer this question, this is where everybody starts name dropping. And I could name drop some remarkably recognizable names that are current mentors, current coaches, current friends. But instead, I like to go old school. I like to go all the way back to the people that no one's ever heard of, like this guy named Ron Vigil, who was the first guy to speak life into me when I dropped out of college and went and got a job in the car dealership, and told me how great I could be, and took me under his wing and taught me sales and taught me leadership. It's people like a gentleman named Paul Elner, who pushed me to be, bigger, better version of myself while I was in corporate America when I was in banking. You know, it was this guy named Mark Spiker. Same thing. He was one of my bosses off and on for a long time, and he's the guy who single-handedly made me become a more positive individual. You know, now I'm one of the most positive individuals I know. So it's some of the people that have been a part of my journey for, let's say, a year or 2 years or 3 years throughout my life that I feel like get the most credit for having shaped me equal to some of the current people in my life.
Wow. That's pretty incredible, because I think sometimes we see the most recent versus the ones who started the whole
Yeah.
process for everybody.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's amazing. Now, you said you did car sales, and obviously where you're at, you're a successful entrepreneur. Was it always that way? You said you did some car sales and that stuff.
Yeah.
Is
You
there a
know what's
story
funny?
behind that?
Yeah, there is. So you use the word successful. Has it always been successful? Absolutely not. It's been more unsuccessful than successful. Here's what a lot of people don't realize. I've got all these great little businesses that they don't know because they never went. So I got kicked out of college after 2.5 years of school. And my parents were devastated, and I was excited because I'm like, yeah, I get to roll up my sleeves and be in the real world now. That's what I wanted. And so, I got into the car business and I learned sales there and I learned leadership. And I feel like if you can learn those two things, you can write your own ticket anywhere. And then I got into, banking and flew up through the ranks there. But the entrepreneurial side of me was always experimenting with things. So when I was 21, 22, I started this business. Oh my God, it's laughable. Where I had my dad build a whole bunch of these like honor system snack boxes, right? And with this little thing that people stuff their money in, grab their bag of chips, grab their candy bar, whatever. And I would go around to offices and businesses all over Wisconsin and place these in their break rooms. And I did the math. I'm like, with this much loss, I can still make this much profit. Blah, blah. And it was a smashing failure, right? I mean, I probably placed 3 or 4, maybe almost 500 of these boxes. And I had all my profit calculated. This was going to be awesome. It's a cash business. And it bombed. And I learned something about human nature in that business. I learned that despite humans being inherently good people for the most part, they still, when you leave them up to an honor system, they're bad at math. Like I would go pick up these boxes every single time and they'd be short. I mean, significantly short every time. I'd expect the box to have, say it was half empty when I went to refill it. And I expected to have, I don't know, $80 in it or whatever. And it'd be like $25. I'm like, come on, guys, at least make an effort to put money in when you grab these snacks in your break room. You're better people than this. And I realized that people do math in their head that always works out in their favor. And they don't even mean to be malicious about it. Like they'll take snacks all week and they'll be like, oh shit, the snack guy's coming. I better go put $5 in there. When really they've taken like $15 worth. But the math in their head is always going to work out in their favor. It's just like this intuitive thing. So that thing was a smashing failure, not a smashing success. And ended up just saying, screw it. I'm not even going around to collect these boxes.
Not
after like
dropping
a
them
year
off.
of trying to do that. I tried this other business. It was named Child Safe America. And this was like kind of pre-internet, right? This is also 21, 22 years old. And you could sell these fingerprinting photo ID kits for people's children where it was kept in a database. And if their kids ever went missing, it'd be like all of these things would be there to help find their kids. And
That's
I was like, hey,
incredible.
that sounds like a good idea. It's kind of ahead of its time. So I invested in it, went around trying to sell these things, not just to individuals, because that was a slow waste of time, but went around trying to sell these things to large corporations as like a perk for their employees, a perk for their customers, things like that. And it sucked. It was miserable. It was full of rejection. It was a stupid idea, right? So oh man, I actually owned, this one was semi-successful. People don't know this about me. I started and owned a cleaning business during this time in my early 20s that lasted about 3 years, where I'd go around to bars and offices, get cleaning contracts, because I realized, wait a minute, bars pay a lot of money, at least back where my financial thermostat was back then. Bars pay a lot of money to their cleaning services to come in at bar time, 3, 4 in the morning, clean the nasty ass bar that everyone has been, peeing in and dropping their bottles in and all that stuff. And I'm like, if I got this many bars and this many offices, I could get this many cleaners, I could make this much profit. And that thing actually was semi-profitable, except I hated being up in the middle of the night when everybody else was asleep, hustling around, cleaning these restaurants, cleaning these bars. The type of help that you get to hire, more often than not, they're unfortunately the type of people that don't show last minute, or they're always late, or they do a half-ass effort. And I realized the leadership side of leading, let's call it entry-level workers, was not a fun practice whatsoever. So after a couple of years, 2 to 3 years of doing that, I decided that wasn't a good idea anymore. So there's been all these entrepreneurial learning moments along the way.
Okay. No, absolutely. That sounds, my family, obviously being in Wisconsin, that's one of the things. They own a few bars. So cleaning it's definitely a dirty job.
Yeah, you got that right.
A dirty job. With that, like you mentioned something about where your financial thermostat was.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I think I got this concept from Secrets of Millionaire Mind, the book. I can't quite remember where I got this term, this financial thermostat, but it's so true. Think about it. It's like a thermostat on your wall. You go over and you set it to a temperature, and then you get that temperature, right? If the house is a little too cold, it heats it up. If the house is a little too hot, it cools it down. So you get what you set. And your finances, what you expect of yourself, works the exact same way. People don't realize this, but intuitively, you get what you said. If you say, I'm worth $100,000 a year, you're always going to be around $100,000 a year. If you someday raise that to, darn it, I'm going to do a bunch of things, I should be making $250,000. You're eventually going to make around $250,000, no more, no less, give or take. And so when I became aware of this concept, I'm like, wait a minute, why do I have it set here when I could set it here? And listen, it's not as simple as just deciding, I'm going to set it 4 times higher, and then all of a sudden it shows up. You got to do the work behind it, but you have a new expectation. You have a new standard. You have a new level that you won't accept anything less. That's what I mean by setting it. And when you truly readjust it, when you truly reset it, then your actions just kind of follow suit. And when your actions follow suit, the money shows up. You're like, man, this is amazing. So then you get into this habit of, where else can I set it? And where else can I create income to go reach where I've got this financial thermostat set? It honestly becomes kind of a fun game in life.
That's pretty amazing way to look at it, because I think sometimes naturally, especially depending on how you grew up and what you were taught, I think we all kind of maybe set ourselves, set the bar a little lower than what is possible.
Well, it's true. And here's the problem. We're not setting the bar too low at first. It's our surroundings. We don't realize the financial thermostat is being set for us. We're like victims at first. It's set by our parents and what they say as we're growing up. It's set by our neighbors. It's set by the people we hung out with in school. It's set by the type of college we went to or didn't go to. It's set by the type of neighborhood we grew up in or didn't grow up in. It's set for us at first. And so until someone says, hey, by the way, Joe, you have a financial thermostat and you get to control it, and by raising it, here's what happens, then that's the first time in life you actually wake up and get to say, whoa, I didn't realize this was set for me. And I've been making this by default. And I actually get to choose where I want it to be, and then let my actions follow suit.
That's incredible. Now, you always hear some of these things, me growing up in a super small town, growing up on a farm. Yeah. I used to hear this phrase quite a bit, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, right? And the rich people are greedy.
Yeah.
Like I heard that over and over in my head. And I feel like that held me back for a long period of time in my life. What would you say to somebody that, maybe doesn't know that could be something that would be holding them back from maybe achieving, a certain financial abundance in their life, to move forward?
Yeah, we've all heard those things growing up by very well-meaning people, like our parents, right? Our parents always did the best they could with what they knew. Our teachers always did the best they could with what they knew. But the problem is this: their paradigm is based on their life experiences. Typically, their paradigm is based on what their parents told them and what their parents told them. And when people are a little bit down and out, when people aren't quite where they want to be, man, we are good at being self-justifiers of where we're at. So we say these things like, oh, the rich get richer, or they had to screw someone to get there, or they're greedy, or when they have something that means somebody else went without. We say these things just to justify where we're at, instead of looking in the mirror and taking responsibility for where we're at and deciding what is truth and what is not, right? So this is almost like a financial thermostat. This stuff becomes a part of our language by default because we heard someone say it, and they heard someone say it, and they heard someone say it. So in order to stop the cycle, you need to decide, what do you want to believe about wealth? And when you decide what you want to believe about wealth, then it's up to you to go out and find the positive propaganda to back that up. Because all those terms, that's just negative propaganda, right? Propaganda is not necessarily true or not true. It's what you accept to believe. And there's always, I mean, I don't care what issue you give me. I can find positive propaganda to support that issue, and I can find negative propaganda to, push against that issue. And so it's up to you to decide, what do I want to believe about wealth? What kind of life do I want to have? And then go find that positive propaganda to support you. Here's one exercise that's easy to do. You can start by listing all of the people that you thought were, quote, wealthy growing up. List their name, and then just put a little note to the side of it, like what you thought of them. And if you have a bad relationship with money right now, if you say those things quite often in your household, you're probably going to find, growing up and even in your adult life right now, the people on that list, you're going to write slightly negative things next to them, right? So, the neighbor Jack with the brand new Mercedes, he is brash and loud. The Susie at work in the top office, she is snobby, and like, you're going to have this list of people that are reinforcing this negative opinion of wealth that you have. Then here's my challenge to you. Could you dig a little deeper and make a list of people that you know or don't know, but you hear of them in the media, or you can Google them, that are incredibly wealthy individuals that are doing great things? Here's where you start to find positive propaganda. So, Bill and Melinda Gates started the single largest giving initiative, the Billionaires Pledge, in the world, right? Or Richard Branson, one of the biggest philanthropists in the world. You're able to go out and find way more examples of good people doing good things with their wealth than you're able to actually find the old stereotype of some jerk doing bad things with wealth.
I love the way that you explain that, because I think more people need to understand that. I think in any industry, in any category, in any job, in any specific thing, there's always going to be one or a small, very slight percentage of people that maybe not be doing it for maybe the right reason or something like that. But the majority of people, the tendency is they want to do it because of something great. Their intentions are pure and wholeheartedly.
Yeah. And by the way, when you are forming your opinion about wealth, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, be careful to take notice of who's forming that opinion for you. Meaning, is it wealthy people that are telling you about wealth and whether it's good or bad? Or is it people who are, let's say, broke or close to broke telling you about wealthy people? Because the thing is, remember, go back to what I said earlier, we are amazing self-justifiers so that we feel better about where we're at. So if somebody is broke or just over broke, and they are shaping your opinion of what wealth is, you got to throw a red flag in the air and be cautious, saying, wait a minute, this person is talking about wealth, yet they have none. So they actually don't even know what you do with wealth. We're all too often listening to the wrong damn people when it comes to our happiness, our relationships, our health, our wealth, our bodies. We're listening to the wrong damn people because we're listening to the people who just happen to be next to us. They happen to be our coworker. They happen to be our neighbor. They happen to be a family member, old crabby ass Uncle Bob or whoever it might be. You need to take responsibility for who you're going to start listening to when it comes to your wealth or any other aspect in your life. And it's your responsibility to seek out the people who have actually been there, done that, and get an opinion from them and receive knowledge from them, not from the people who have never been there that are just justifying where they're at.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I feel like that's very common. And even in myself, in my journey, I caught myself doing that, listening to people that weren't necessarily where I wanted to go, and getting the advice and realizing that I was going in circles.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
It happens. And the first thing is being aware of it. Once you're aware of it, now you get to make a choice. And not everyone makes the right choice, but at least become aware of it and give yourself the power of making that choice.
that's awesome. That's incredible. Let me ask you, what do you think for you is the biggest shift around money that you made that pushed you forward?
Who I hang around. Time and time again, I've been shown an example of what I thought was a lot of money really is just barely anything in the game. So when I was in corporate America and doing my best in the Midwest, actually you'll appreciate this because you grew up where I grew up basically. I was making at the peak, and this was 10 years ago. What are we, 2018 right now? So 2000, yeah, 2007, 2008. Okay. At the 10, 11, 12 years ago in Green Bay area, in Milwaukee area, in the Midwest, that's a lot of money, right? You're from there. Picture 12 years
Absolutely.
ago making 300 grand. That's a ton of money.
Yes.
And you can have a really great life there for that. And so I thought that was a lot of money. Like I remember saying to Lori, like, babe, if we were making 350, we'd be set for life. Isn't that funny? But you don't know what you don't know. So then I read the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and I learned about this financial thermostat, and I learned about intentionally, surrounding yourself with people that are doing better than you in order to change your opinion of what is a lot or not. And it's a very big eye opener. So I did that. I started seeking out people that were doing exponentially better and spending time with them in any way or form that I could. And sometimes those forms are not in person. Sometimes it's reading their blog or listening to their podcast or, tapping into them however you could. And I realized, whoa, what I thought was a lot of money was not. And so we changed. Lori and I made a commitment. We read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind together in bed out loud every single night when we went to bed. I know, not very sexy, but effective. And we both made a conscious choice that year to change our financial thermostat to $1 million. Okay, could we do this? Like, if we really get to pick where we're going to be, why aren't we choosing $1 million? And I remember we were living in Minneapolis at the time, and we moved into this condo building where all the floors above us, we were on the ground floor in the cheapest unit possible, and we were just renting it, but all the floors above us, everybody owned them and they were epic and they were very expensive. It was all full of millionaires. And so every day I'd talk to these guys, I'd hang out with these guys, I'd sit on their patio, have a drink with these guys. Every day I'd walk the dog with these guys as I'd surround myself with these people. And it immediately changed our financial thermostat, what we expect of ourselves. And that year, we went from rebuilding financially to having our first $1 million year. Actually, full transparency is like 976,000 or something like that. But let's call it $1 million, right? And it was amazing that we literally almost quadrupled our best year, or quintupled anyways, times three, our best year ever, just by changing our expectations and who we're hanging around. So then, we're making 1.1, 1.2 while we're living in Minneapolis that year after that. And we decided to move to California. So we moved to California with our, 1.2 or $1.3 million a year, whatever we're at the time. And, living in Minneapolis, that's a lot of money. You can have a heck of a great lifestyle for that. You're one of the bigger fish in the pond living in Minneapolis with that money. And we moved to California, and we moved into this condo building that was beautiful and down by the water in Santa Monica, which is one of the wealthiest cities in all of California. And we were like the brokest people in the building. You'd go through the parking ramp, and it's full of six-figure cars galore, and all the condos in that building are trading at 1 million for a one bedroom, 2 million for a two bedroom, 3 million for a three bedroom condos, right? And we quickly realized, whoa, there's a whole nother level. And intuitively there's a whole new level, but until it's in your face all the time, it's not real to you. Okay. So it became real to me that, wait a minute, while we thought we had a lot of swagger at 1.2 or 1.3, man, this is barely getting in the game. That's nothing. So immediately our expectations, okay, where can we make more money? Like, what are these people doing? Where do they put their money? What do they do with their money? All of these expectations immediately changed, and the questions we asked of ourselves and what we expect of ourselves immediately changed. So then that year, we grew another $1 million, right? And then ever since we've been living here, every single year, our income grows exponentially, because now I'm hanging out like I've got a dinner tonight with one guy that net worth is probably maybe 80 to 100 million. And the other guy is well beyond that. He's literally the founder of a huge magazine media company that he sold. So now I'm hanging out with people that expect, 8 and 9 figure net worths out of their life. And by proximity, you start to expect that of yourself. And it's just a really cool thing to realize I can control, just by who I'm hanging around and who I'm listening, the outcome of my life financially.
You see, that's absolutely incredible. Not only that you went from obviously being in the Midwest, because being from there myself, even my family and all of that stuff, there's still, when you communicate with them, you can still see the different level of thinking around different financial situations. And going from where you were into incremental steps and being able to dictate and say, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're switching and putting yourself in that environment. So you would say one of the biggest shifts is your environment, always putting yourself around those
Always.
people.
Always. Joe, listen, man, your environment is stronger than your willpower. I don't care if you wake up and say 50 mantras in the morning. I don't care if you have rock solid habits that are, doing the right things all the time. If your environment around you is broke and negative, no matter how hard you try, you're going to hover around broke and negative. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. Dude, think about dieting. Let's use this as an analogy. If you have nothing but Doritos and Cheetos and macaroni and cheese and cold pizza in the fridge and everything just at your fingertips, and you're like, I'm on a diet, I'm going to go walk, I'm going to go work out, I'm going to make the right food choices, and you're hungry and that's what's at your fingertips in your house, your environment is going to override your intentions, right? It's going to override your willpower.
Absolutely.
Nobody has enough willpower to say no to that day in and day out. You might have a good day here and there, but nobody has the willpower to say no to that day in and day out. So you're going to sabotage your diet. Well, listen, your finances work the same way. Your relationships work the same way. Every damn aspect of your life works the same way. Your environment is going to ultimately determine you overriding that willpower or not.
Absolutely. I love it, because that's a great analogy that I feel like so many people can relate to, because I feel like we've all been on a situation of the nutritional bandwagon at some point in our life where we're like, and it didn't work out. Now, let me ask you this. There's a lot of stuff online. There's a lot of information out there. I mean, we are every single day. I mean, DMs in every single social media platform that I have on, people trying to, give me this or talk to me about this and all of this stuff. What would you say to somebody that, is trying to move forward? How would you tell them to focus on, putting themselves in the right situations at the right times or around the right environments?
So are you saying who to turn to?
Right. Like who would you turn to for that?
I love this. So let me say this loud and clear. When you're first getting started trying to turn the tide, when you're first getting started trying to learn about your finances, when you're first trying to get started with surrounding yourself with positive propaganda, when you're first trying to get started on, hey, what are the first few low-hanging fruit steps that I can do in order to get some momentum? Guys, listen to me loud and clear. All of that is available out there for free. Podcasts, YouTube, books. I guess books aren't free unless you go to the damn library, but all of that is available out there for free or very, 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 very inexpensive. You do not have to spend a ton of money on somebody's program, on somebody's coaching, on somebody's something at first. You have to start investing the money after you've done the low-hanging fruit that's built some of the habits and shifted your financial thermostat and got you thinking bigger. And after you're fully utilizing some of the free stuff, then you got to spend the money. Right? That's phase 2 of your journey. But at first, there's no excuse. You don't need someone's $5,000 coaching program, $20,000 coaching program. My mastermind is 25 to 30 grand. You don't need that when you're a beginning business person. You need that after you've taken care of all the low-hanging fruit and gotten yourself some momentum going. So no excuses. Don't invest in people's this program, that program, all these silly things that they're making real shiny when you're just getting started in your journey. There's enough free stuff out there for you to tap into. After you've tapped into it, then to answer your question, look for the people who resonate with you energetically. No matter how good their program is, it's not good for you if you don't want to show up the way they show up in life. There's the litmus test. Do you like how they're showing up on Instagram? Do you like how they're showing up on Facebook? Do you like how they're showing up if you've ever met them in person? If you like how they're showing up in life, then that might be a good program for you. If you're like, wow, everyone's raving about their program, they're really smart, they're really accomplished, but I don't necessarily want to show up like them in life, then that's not the right program for you. because you must be an energetic match.
That's, I love that you said do the low hanging fruit stuff, because I feel like that is so true, because you're going to find and see and notice things that may work, may not work. Really feel out your strengths as an individual as you're starting out. And then when you do want to invest, you're investing in the right things for you to really astronomically take off.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt.
Now, let's just say entrepreneurs, right? Say you're an entrepreneur in this day and age, because I get a lot of questions and a lot of messages that come out, and they ask, how do I start, making money? Like, I have massive amounts of debt. I have, I don't really have a job. I'm trying to do this thing, especially online space. I'm trying to do this thing online. What would you do? If you were to start over, what would your advice be for them to be like, hey, how are they going to make money? How are they going to do something to move forward?
I would first strip myself of any unnecessary expenses, silly things that are a distraction, so that I could start to feel a little bit more abundance, and so that I would have a little bit of money to start investing in my entrepreneurial dream. Remember what I just said, plenty of free coaching at first. Investing in your entrepreneurial dream. It's going to take some marketing. It's going to take building a funnel, building a website, all those types of things, right? So I would free up whatever low-hanging fruit I could in terms of capital. And I would not be afraid to invest that into my business at first. Then I would go seek out every single local entrepreneurial mixer, support group, networking group, whatever, that I could possibly find. Because when you walk into this room and there's 20 entrepreneurs in there, you're going to find one or two that would be an awesome accountability partner, business partner, someone to go to lunch with and share your good days and your bad days with, because you need tribe as you go down this path of entrepreneurship. Matter of fact, Lori and I talk all the time. Entrepreneurship, it's a lonely sport at first. Until you have a big team and they're showing up and they're fun to be with and all that stuff. Man, entrepreneurship is a lonely sport at first. It's usually you in your family room or your kitchen grinding it out and saying, where did the day go? So you got to get outside of your cocoon and mix it up with the other people that are trying to do the same thing as you, or maybe, better case scenario, a couple steps ahead of where you are, hence the dinner I'm going to tonight. So that's step 2. Step 3 would be, you need to do 2 things. Offer massive, massive, massive value for free. So if you're a health coach, offer so much free health coaching. It blows people's minds and it makes them say, I wonder what this stuff for sale is. This must be really good. If you're a business coach, offer so much great business coaching content that it blows people's minds and it makes them say, I wonder how good this stuff is that's for sale. Like, the free content, the king or queen of free content now, right now, wins, because you're building relationship capital with your audience. You're building trust. Then when you have something to launch, then when you have something to sell, they eat it right up. They snap it right up because they love this massive sample that they've already gotten from you. So they know it's good stuff. They know, they trust you. And there's a human perception out there that says, if this is the free stuff, the paid for stuff must be extraordinary. We're programmed to think that.
Absolutely. Now, based off of that, because one of the biggest things that I implement with a lot of people that I work with is some sort of free trial. So they actually get a taste of what it is that they got going on, so they can, see the value in what it is. But there's a lot of conflict with free things out there. Sometimes I feel like people will say, the people that you're looking to work with aren't going to want your stuff for free. So the people that do get your free stuff aren't going to be good clients for you.
No, you got to think top of funnel to bottom of funnel. So at first, your free offers are your top of funnel. Let's say you're putting 10,000 people in there. Of course, all 10,000 people aren't going to be buyers. Of course, all 10,000 people, a huge chunk of them are just the newbie that's collecting the free stuff. And hey, I applaud them because they're doing what I advised earlier. Go get all the free stuff you can, get some momentum going at first, get some money coming in, then invest in your coaching. So if you're collecting 10,000 people at the top of your funnel, maybe 20% of them one day will become a buyer. Then middle of funnel is more added value, right? That's where you're shaking through some of those people. Next level of funnel is, hey, here's a $1 trial, or here's a $7 such and such. smaller percentage are finally going to pull the trigger on it, but now you have a transaction with them and they trust you because you offered a ton of value for that dollar or that $7 or that $9. Then next level funnel is, hey, if you liked that, you're going to love this next item that's $49 or $59 or $79. And because you wowed them with the $9 item, they're going to trust your $49 item. They're going to try it. And if you wow them with your $49 item, then when you come out with your $199, your $299 item, they're going to, as long as you wowed them up till now, say, hey, this guy hasn't let me down yet, and this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to invest in it. What could it possibly hurt? And so on and so on and so on. So you have to think top of funnel to bottom of funnel. If you're putting 10,000 people on the top, you're only going to get maybe 100 that go all the way through buying your big ticket stuff to the bottom. And that's okay. That's the idea of this is if you could picture this in person instead of online, I want you to picture like this stadium full of people and you've set up this big sample station, right? And they're all in the stadium coming up to your sample table and trying your sample. They're all not going to be buyers, but some of them are going to stick around and say, hey, what are the jars behind you for sale? And they'll buy that and be like, holy crap, that was good. What else do you have to offer me? And you'd say, oh, come to my restaurant. It's right down the street. That's top of funnel to bottom of funnel.
That I couldn't think of a better way to explain it than that. And I love it so much because I agree with everything that you just said 110%. Always give. It's, lead from the heart and give, and people will realize that you're valuable. And if you do provide, even, the free thing obviously can't be a bunch of shit. No. It has to be something that provides value for people. It'll move them. And
by the way, can I talk to that? That's where people go wrong. They literally reduce their free item because they think, well, it's the freebie, so I've got to hold back a little bit. No, that's why you're not finding any buyers. Like if somebody tastes your sample and it's just kind of good, why the hell would they buy the jar behind you? You need to put your best foot forward for your free stuff. Your best foot possible forward for your free stuff, or they're never going to try the other stuff.
I agree. And I like that you said a lot of people kind of dumb it down, because some of the things that you hear is, well, that's going to be a lot of work. I'm not making any money from that. Mm-hmm. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. You got to play the long game.
Right. It's a marathon. It's not going to be a sprint. No, I love that. So let me ask you this. You were talking your guys you said tribe, and you're following, not just your following, but like your guys' connections and the people that I see you communicating with on a regular basis online and that are part of your network. And you have, the mastermind groups, and you got all of this stuff going on. Now with the online space, there's so much stuff, right? You grew that. Like you and Lori are amazing. Like I watch you guys for a long time now do this. But when somebody's starting out or when somebody's online, they see funnels, emails, ads, websites, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, right? All of these different things. What would you say would be a focus for somebody right away?
Your question's about tribe, right? So I think what you're really asking is there's so many ways to connect online, but what happens when you want to really connect with the biggest people that are doing the biggest things in person? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the bottom line. A lot of it has to do with proximity as to where you live. Now I'm going to shut down all the excuse makers here real quick. Is it easier for me to meet and hang out with these people because I live in LA or New York? Absolutely, because that's where most of the great big ballers are, New York or LA. But you got to remember, I'm Midwest born and raised. I made the conscious choice to find a way to get out here so that I could mix it up in the land of opportunity a little bit more. But if you're not in a position where you can make that move, then that's not an excuse, because there are people in your community that are also kicking butt. It is your job to play at a level that attracts those people in your community that are doing big things, so that they're going to want to collaborate with you, so that they're going to want to work with you, so that they're going to want to bounce advice off you and you get to bounce advice off them. Start in your own area. Find the biggest fish in your own area. Find out how you can add value to them and start having a great exchange with them. And when you start having a great exchange with them, then your business is going to be crushing it over time. And when it's crushing it, then you have the choice to either move to one of the coasts where everybody really is, or, by the way, you don't have to pick up and move your family, join masterminds and get your butt on an airplane and come out 3-4 times a year to mix it up with those people, or go to the events where those people are, right? You can live in Kansas and still come to LA or New York to all the masterminds, to all the events, to all of the, just literally come out for a few days and set up a bunch of lunches and a bunch of meetings. You can do that. Let's put the excuses aside. Let's start small in our own area. Let's find the biggest people in our own area. Let's get some momentum going by maxing that out. Then let's reinvest that income and that momentum into tapping into the coasts where everybody is doing the big things. There's no excuses, man.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you talk about meeting people within your area right away, because I think with the online space, even though a lot of people are trying to be online with what they got going on, there's no shame in actually helping people online in your area that you're currently in, that you can meet with in person every once in a while and have a connection that way.
Yep. Live where you want to live, and just don't be afraid to make a very intentional effort at getting on an airplane and plugging into the people that you want to plug into.
I love that. Let me ask you this: entrepreneurship, and this may be kind of a cliche question, but I feel like right now there, obviously it's a great time to become an entrepreneur, but I also feel like there's a lot of entrepreneurs, they're popping up in every single space. Would you say that some might be confused and some maybe, testing the waters a little bit, that might be better as an employee,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
a CEO or something like that, an executive?
Absolutely. But they don't know if they don't test the waters. So I'm a huge fan of everybody trying entrepreneurship if you think it might be for you. And if you try it on for size for a while and you realize, it's not a good fit for me, and you've given your max effort, by the way, here's where people get confused. They give a half-ass effort. They try 75%. They're like, oh, I guess I wasn't meant to be one. No. We're talking 110% effort for a sustained amount of time. If you give 110% effort for a sustained amount of time and it's not for you, then thank God that there's still going to be some employees left to help the entrepreneurs. Thank God that there's still going to be some COOs and CFOs and CEOs to help the entrepreneurs, because most entrepreneurs are just visionaries. They're just dreamers. And we need the implementers to take our dreams into reality and actually make them work, or they would never exist. So everybody is born to do something different. Go ahead and experiment with whatever you want, because experimentation is how you shake that out and find out what best suits you.
That's an incredible viewpoint and explanation of how entrepreneurship and kind of how it places, because I do believe everybody is different and everybody has a different thing for them specifically. Now, Chris, with where you're at, what's the next, what's the next level? What's the next stage look like for Chris Harder?
More impact. And you can judge impact by the number of people that you serve, the number of products that you sell, right? Because if you sell good products and you sell to somebody, you just created good impact. The amount of impact that we can create through charity, it's just more and more and more impact in every way. And impact is taking dollars in and pushing dollars out. Both of those are forms of impact. And your goal should always be to be growing. Because if you're not growing, you're dying, you're shrinking, you're regressing. There is no status quo. There is no, this is it. You're always growing, which will fill your heart and make you happy, even though it feels tough in the moment, or you're regressing, which might feel easy in the moment, but unhappy in the long run.
Absolutely. I love that. Now, you give a lot, not only just with content, with your podcast, with all the things that you're doing, but you contribute a lot to different things. You've even started a huge push. I saw it on social media, for people to go out and just do a kind thing. And,
Yeah, the 7-day generosity challenge last year. That was fun.
yeah, I saw that. In my opinion, I think when you're growing and you're giving, those two things is extremely powerful for an individual. What would you say those two things would do for more people if they combined them?
Man, what a great question. So I can answer it with this example. Every time that I'm at a charity gala, every time that I'm at a special private dinner put on by a cause, every time that I am, go to Guatemala on a mission trip or something like that, I look around, the people to my left and the people to my right, and that is where everybody is that I've been wanting to meet. And that is where everybody is that are the type of human beings I want in my life. Like I went to the Pencils to Promise Gala in December this past year, and to my table to my left was Gary V and the guys from $1 Million Listing. And at my table was, my buddy Lewis Howes and a few other people. The next table over was the guy from, he played Black Panther in the movie, and his family. Like when you go to these things, that is where the good people that are making good money, doing great things, are congregating. And then when you go to those galas, you get invited to the private, when you donate, you get invited to the private dinner. So I just went out to Nobu in Malibu last week, I think it was. Yes, last week. And that's where Tim Sykes was. And that's where the Dancing with the Stars couple that just won Dancing with the Stars was. It's where everybody who you say, I wonder how you meet those people. If they're good people with good money, they're doing great things. And those great things are always some form of contribution. So the biggest hack in the world to up-level your tribe is to give more. Because when you give more, you are put in proximity to other people whose ethos is to give more. And those are the kind of people that, when they see you being that kind of human being, that is when they're interested in getting to know you. I'll be very frank. I'm not interested in getting to know somebody who's just really eager and ambitious. There's no shortage of those people to watch on Instagram. I'm interested in people that are looking to do something really interesting and create real impact through what they're doing. That's what's exciting for me, and that's who I want to collaborate with.
And that's huge. And that leads me to, I know you're short on time. I want to get a couple of things out here. You have your mastermind, right? Do you have 2 masterminds, or do you have 1 mastermind?
It's a good question. So right now I have 1 mastermind. It's my elite business mastermind. It's for people who are earning high 6 figures to low 7 figures and have the goal of making multiple 7 figures year in and year out. That's exactly what we teach there. And the thing I love about a mastermind is this. When you put 30 super talented, super driven entrepreneurs in a room for 1 year, and you say, your family, you better show up for each other like family. You better lift each other up. You better lend your contacts. You better lend your expertise, just like you would your family. That's when the magic happens, because these are 29 other people. If you're in that room, these are 29 other people that you literally could not afford to hire. But when it's their obligation to treat you like family, when you've locked arms for a year, now they're part of your team. Imagine if you went out and hired 29 other amazing top-end entrepreneurs for 1 year on your team, if you could afford those salaries. Oh my God, your business would 10x. That's exactly what happens. So you asked if we have 2 of them. It's funny you asked that. Right now in this very minute, no. I guess I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag. I think one other person in the world knows this right now, and that is Lori and I have built an entry-level mastermind that is actually a mentor mind. And it's for people that are in that $90,000 to $299,000 range, where, remember, I said up to 90 grand, there's plenty of free stuff out there. Don't invest. But once you're creeping on 6 figures, you need some guidance, right, to get to that next level. So it's for people that are in that $90,000 to $299,000 range that want to learn how to get into the upper 6 figures. And we are going to launch that towards the end of this year, beginning of January. So keep your eyes peeled for that thing. It's awesome. It's basically proximity to all the people you see me running around on Instagram with. It's proximity to them, both online and in person. You could never get otherwise. And it's going to be really cool.
That's absolutely incredible. And if they want more information, where can they find you on social media, emails, different things? How do they sign up for like this kind of stuff?
Yes, I'm glad you asked. So the only platform I'm on these days is Instagram. Chris W. Harder on Instagram. I always make the commitment to answer every single DM that I get. So I love when people message me their questions and stuff on there. Also, listen to the podcast at fortheloveofmoney.com. That's F-O-R, fortheloveofmoney.com. And then if you are curious about the masterminds or anything else, it's always fortheloveofmoney.com/mastermind.
Super awesome. Super awesome. Chris, thank you again for hopping on here. You've just dropped so much knowledge. It's incredible the things that, in the way that you talk and explain it so that people can literally visualize what you're saying. That's amazing. I appreciate your time for hopping on today. I know that you don't have much time, but thank you again for being on our show today, and I appreciate you.
Man, Joe, totally my pleasure. This was fun. You're a great host. The time flew by, and anytime I get to have great conversations with great people like this, count me in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course, brother.